What's up, everybody? Back again. Here we go. Week 4 is over. It's in the books. Week 5 is coming up. Yeah. To be a Hokie fan. It's pretty rough. It's a rough life. But, I mean, damn. What do you do? Star quarterback's out for a while. Star cornerback's out for the season. So, what do you do? What do you do? It's going to be a bumpy rest of the year. Yeah. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into this. Week 4 is in the books. We had some good ones. Georgia Tech, Duke. Duke answered in special teams and defense, and Georgia Tech drops another one. So one of the powerhouse teams of the ACC, the Coastal, defending champ, the preseason hype about Georgia Tech and Paul Johnson and what they're gonna do. Well, now everything is in shambles again. The life of the ACC Coastal, where here we are in week 4, our preseason Coastal champ could still be, but it's just chaos everywhere. I mean, so who knows? But Duke coming up big off special teams and playing some defense against that rough Georgia Tech and capitalizing off turnovers. That's if I was Virginia Tech, if it was Virginia Tech playing, I'd say, well, that's Beamer ball. But David Cutcliffe up there at Duke, he puts it together, and they were ready for it. So the ACC Coastal's back into shenanigans as far as I'm concerned. I don't have a favorite to win it. I mean, I got some ideas, but who knows? BYU, Michigan. I picked Duke, or I picked Georgia Tech to beat Duke. I lost that one, and I also picked BYU to beat Michigan. So, obviously I was a little off last week. Michigan coming up big since their opening loss to Utah. Michigan is back in the top 25, and Davon Smith, their starting tailback, he's injured, but there's a lot of talent on the Michigan team, or they've got a good coach, or a little bit of both. I'm going to say they got a good coach and a little bit of talent. But Michigan coming up with the win. Tennessee, Florida. I'm going to throw this out there. The Tennessee Volunteers might be one of the best three-quarter football teams in college football. They ran with Oklahoma. They're running with Florida. And if football was only 3 quarters, Tennessee would probably be the national champions. But for some reason, they shit the bed when it comes to the fourth quarter. And they did. Florida took advantage of it. And the Florida Gators are 4-0. Will Muschamp. Maybe there was a common problem there, buddy. A&M and Arkansas. Texas A&M is sleeper, and Arkansas is a good football team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking bad about them, but Arkansas, just in any other conference, would probably be really good, but they're just stuck in the SEC West with a lot of good football teams, and they can't ever seem to pull it off. They took A&M into overtime, and A&M won it, and they're gonna get somebody this year. Damn it, they're gonna sneak on one of these teams in the SEC West. I don't see how they can go 0-whatever against the big boys of the West. So, nevertheless, A&M pulls it out. I like the quarterback in my FanDuel leagues. He always does me justice. Kentucky and Missouri. Now, I picked Kentucky winning some games against South Carolina this year. I picked them beating Florida. They barely lost it, and here they are beating Missouri. So you better watch out for these Wildcats because they won a bowl game this year, and I think they're gonna get it. Not saying they're gonna beat Georgia, but as far as the SEC East goes, they've already played Florida. They've already beat South Carolina. They're probably not going to beat Georgia. Their best chance to beat Tennessee is to just play defense and then all of a sudden play in the fourth quarter, and they can probably beat Tennessee because Tennessee can't play fourth quarter football. And Vandy and Kentucky's bowling this year, and go Wildcats, right? I mean, you got a basketball team. Your football team's got to be somewhat decent to some extent. UCLA, Arizona. Took UCLA on this one, and UCLA showed up. The Bruins. It's going to be interesting when they start getting into the USC and a couple of these other games that they've got coming up. There's the test. It's going to be there for them. But for right now, UCLA's cruising. And they beat Virginia, BYU, and Arizona's not a slouch. They're one of the better teams in the Pac-12. So they did what they needed to do. They came out, they won, and UCLA is up. And then you got Utah, Oregon. Now, everybody here has been so used to Oregon being the big power, the force, the speed, the Mariotas, and the number of tailbacks that they've had in the past couple years that are just lightning fast, explosive offense, scoring 70 points a game. And I'm a Virginia Tech fan. I know all about rebuilding years. We've been in a rebuilding year for 4 years now, 5 years maybe. Can't even remember the last time we went to a big game. We got beat by Michigan in the BCS game, but so Oregon, trust me, I know all about rebuilding years, and right now you guys are rebuilding, but it doesn't matter because your facilities and your uniforms recruit enough. You guys will be back on top. But as for right now, Utah is a team in the Pac-12 that is going to be drawing some attention for a little bit. They were very good. They showed it against Michigan because maybe Michigan's not that bad of a team. Maybe Utah is that good. Michigan State beat Oregon. Michigan State's not a slouch, but Utah put it on Oregon. So, maybe changing the guard out there on the West Coast. Who knows? You never know. And last but not least, USC. USC. I mean, are the Trojans back? I would like to think so to some extent. And their recruiting classes, they love it or hate it with UCLA doing so well. They're the team in Southern California. I mean, to be a Trojan is just, it's all about being a Trojan, So, they look good. There's Pac-12 making statements as far as not just top two teams, but the tiers, they're making a statement. So that's your week, your wrap up for week 4. So let's get into a little bit of the conference talk. All right. Now, every week I rack and stack the conferences on who, in my opinion, is the best, blah, 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 so on and so forth. I'm changing it this week. After last weekend, it's tough being on the East Coast and paying attention to West Coast football because I like to have a couple drinks while I'm watching football. And come 9, 10 o'clock, this old dude's got to go to bed. I'm tired. I ain't got time for that. I got to go to the beach, and I got NFL on Sunday. Granted, I'm a Steelers fan. We got those issues to deal with now, but old dude's got to go to bed. But nevertheless, now I got to start paying attention to it because now there's a lot to talk about going out there on the West Coast. Not jumping the SEC as far as being the number one conference in the country, because we know that the SEC is still the number one conference in the country. There's no arguing that. No one in their right mind can have a justified, intelligent argument saying that the SEC is not the best. Period. That's all there is to it. Okay, granted, the East might not be the best, but, I mean, whatever. Florida is undefeated. Georgia is undefeated. Do we even need to get into the West? I mean, honestly, do we really even need to get there? Okay, Auburn, okay, they're a little bit down. Arkansas, whatever. Maybe they're not the greatest team in the SEC, but they could probably still beat half, if not three-quarters of every team in any other conference besides maybe the Pac-12. You're going to start talking about Ole Miss? Come on now. Really? Ole Miss? Yeah, they just beat them Alabama boys. Let's not forget about that. Okay? Texas A&M, pretty good, undefeated. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to LSU. And if anybody watched my videos from last year, I've been talking about Fournette from the beginning. And he's a sophomore, okay? Beast mode, okay? And then of course you got Alabama. Yeah, you can't. There's no comparing. Anything. I mean, granted, the SEC has 7 teams in the top 25 right now. Come on, there's no arguing that. It's from top to bottom, from the top 5 to the second 5 to the third 5. No other conference in the country competes with the SEC as far as that goes. They just don't. They just don't. Whatever. But number 2 is definitely the Pac-12. I think that they're ahead of the Big 12, and I think that they are ahead of the Big 10. As far as teams being ranked in the top 25, I know I just said it about the SEC, but you got to think where they are. As far as Oregon, okay, fine. They might not be on the top of their game this year. Okay, they might. Teams got to rebuild. People fail to understand that you just cannot be dominant all the time. No team has ever done it. It won't happen. You have to have a down year. You have to. It's college football. Okay? Players are going to go. It's not like they can just come there and stay their entire careers. It's not like we're punching franchise tags on players. But don't overlook Oregon. Okay? The Oregon's still a very good football team. Stanford is not to be messed with. They had their little hiccup. They did beat USC. Okay? USC's not a slouch. At all. Not even close. UCLA, not a slouch at all. Arizona State, don't overlook them. Arizona, you can't push them. I mean, Washington State, Oregon State, okay, they're maybe not be the best. There's another team I'm forgetting. Cal Berkeley. Hello, is anybody paying attention? Shout out to my boy Patrick back in South Carolina, but California is undefeated right now and back in the top 25. I can't even remember the last time California Berkeley was back in the top 25. Ever. It's been a long time. We're talking Marshawn Lynch, Deshaun Jackson, Aaron Rodgers days. It's been a while, but nevertheless, the boys are doing work. He's throwing for 500 some yards, maybe not every game, but close enough to it. They're slinging the ball, and they're back in the top 25. They better not sleep. No team better sleep on Cal this year as far as the Pac-12 goes. Do not sleep on them. Okay. And third, Big 12. Texas isn't around, and a quick thing on Texas. I mean, I'm a Virginia Tech fan, so I can't harp too bad because, we haven't won national championships, whatever else. Nevertheless, Texas is a team that demands to win, and they're not winning. And they got issues with their athletic director. Their coach, I mean, let's be honest, dude. Michigan fired Lloyd Carr, or whatever his name was, and he was pretty good. I mean, he won national titles there, and they're going to fire his ass. Bobby Bowden, Florida State got rid of him. Tennessee, Philip Fulmer got rid of him. You think they ain't going to fire you? Dude, you better start winning some ball games. And from what I'm seeing in the Big 12, it ain't going to happen. You boys have got a schedule coming up. You got TCU. You better start praying on that one because it's probably not going to happen. Oklahoma, probably not going to happen. They got Texas Tech. Now, if anybody watched Texas Tech TCU game, Texas Tech will throw the football and put up some damn points. That one's going to be tough. Baylor, that one's going to be tough. Oklahoma State, that one's going to be tough. Texas is going to be lucky if they make a bowl game. Oh, and West Virginia, so Texas better get it together because they're probably not going to make it to a bowl game. But nevertheless, Big 12, you got Baylor, Texas Tech, who's not even ranked, but still a very good football team. Oklahoma State, TCU, Oklahoma. I mean, come on. That's some. They're deep, and that's quality. That's really good, really, really good. Coming in fourth, the Big Ten. I mean, I know that I had them ranked higher, but looking at everybody, they got Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan State, a couple others. Yes, Ohio State is good. Yes, Michigan State is good. Wisconsin, okay, they're pretty good. They're not top 10. They're not going to hang with the SEC. They're not going to hang with the best of the Pac-12. They're not going to hang with probably any of the 5 in the Big 12 for maybe Oklahoma State. Are they upcoming? Are they going to have talent in the next couple of years? Absolutely. Michigan will be back in the top 10 within the next 2-3 years. Money on it all day. All day. Anybody want to put some side bets on it? I'm down for it. But that's a given, okay? It's going to happen. And last but not least, you got to take Notre Dame because technically they are kind of ACC or close enough to it. So Notre Dame, Clemson, Florida State. That's about it. The ACC is going to be at the bottom of the pile. Louisville was a bust. Georgia Tech's fallen out of the top 10, top 25, whatever. NC State is probably pushing to try to get in there. Virginia Tech ain't no time soon. Miami's undefeated. We haven't seen a whole lot from Miami. They got some tests coming up as far as their schedule. They got some tough conference games. But they are undefeated. So, obviously the best in the Coastal, in my opinion, as of right now, you have to say Miami. Maybe Georgia Tech at Duke. Virginia Tech, maybe above Virginia. Maybe. We'll see. But the Coastal's in shambles. And as far as the ACC goes, Florida State, Clemson, Notre Dame, if you qualify them, I'm going to because they're taking an ACC bowl bid, in Miami. There is nothing else. There is no other anything else in that conference. I know that Virginia Tech and Miami merged, and they were like, well, this is going to bring power to this. And it just, now Virginia Tech's starting, they just can't get it together for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't like talking bad about them, but they can't get their shit together. So that pretty much does it for the conference wrap-ups. Let's get into a little bit of Heisman talk, and then we'll get into Week 5. Now, if you've been living in Earth since Week 1, you have definitely heard of Leonard Fournette. He is hands down the best tailback in the country right now. Nick Chubb's very good, but as far as number 1 on the Heisman list, remember, there's stats, and then there's game time. The presentation, the show, the pizzazz, the way that the style points. When you go out there and people go, wow, this guy. Yeah, that's Leonard Fournette. And I can't remember who the announcer was, but I'm pretty sure last week, a couple days before the LSU game, when I posted my video, I said Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson together with attitude. That's Leonard Fournette. And I can't remember the announcer, but the LSU-Syracuse game, that's what they were saying. So I don't know if they're watching my videos or if we're just on the same brain frequency, but yeah. Holla at your boy. Fournette, hands down, he's a beast. He's the best tailback in college football. He's probably one of the best that I've seen all around tailback, running, power, blocking, just the all-around package. Melvin Gordon was very good, very good. But he wasn't running over people. He was the Barry Sanders, the real, shifty spin move. I'm going to make you look stupid, and run down the sidelines. Fournette is running over you, outrunning you, blocking while catching screens, and the dude had almost 250 yards rushing. I mean, granted, it's Syracuse, whatever. Who is 3-1, by the way? But come on, man, that's ridiculous. And he did it against Auburn too, so it's not like it's just Syracuse. He does it to everybody. Too expensive in the FanDuel leagues to put him on your team, but I mean, if you can just piece together somebody and build it around that, you're doing pretty well. Once again, we're going to stay in the SEC. Nick Chubb is a monster, okay? And he's got a game this weekend against them Tide boys, which maybe he runs for 200 yards. Maybe he doesn't. We'll see. Nevertheless, as far as talent goes, the kid's a sophomore too, I'm pretty sure. And he's not Fournette, but he's just a different type of tailback. He's got his power, he's speed, he sees the field when reading running lanes and everything else. He sees the blocks long before they happen. He knows how to run in his blocks. The kid's a monster, okay? And like I said, they don't even remember Todd Gurley in Athens right now. They didn't at the end of last year. And why should they? Now they've got this kid who's just, he's out there killing it, So Nick Chubb, in my opinion, it should be all day as second on the Heisman. Third, you got to talk about Trayvon Boykin from TCU. The first week 1 wasn't a real great showing. He didn't have stellar numbers or anything else. He's putting those numbers up now, and he's being real quiet about it. Nobody's really talking about TCU. They're just saying, oh, yeah, TCU's out there scoring 50 points and winning ball games. Blah, 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 same as last year. Well, he's doing the style points, and he's putting up the yardage. Just because he's not running people over, out in Auburn or smashing South Carolina, nobody's really talking about him. And that's fine. But you have to give him credit where credit's due. Boykin's killing it. And he's another one of those dudes on FanDuel or DraftKings where you want some points because he's going to get the rushing yards and the passing touchdowns. He's going to be the guy that you want. And he's definitely, as far as stats go, he's arguably in the top 1 or 2. I mean, Fournette wins in style points. You can't get crazy about that. He's not even the leading rusher in the country, but he's winning in style points. Nick Chubb, once again, not the top rusher in the country, but he's winning in style points because they're out there doing it in the SEC. And people are thinking, well, whatever, he plays in the Big 12. The Big 12 might not have the best defenses, but there's no reason that a player should be putting up 50, 55, 60 points a game on everybody. Okay, so Boykin is still that good. And there's no denying that. Number 4, you look down the stat lines and you watch players play, and you have to talk about Jordan Howard from Indiana. Granted, once again, they play in the Big Ten, and they haven't really played anybody yet. So, is he that good? He's pretty good. They reloaded right at that position. Indiana didn't have an issue with that. So he has to be in there. I mean, he's the top of the stat line. So you have to talk about him to some extent. And at number 4, he's probably not going to win a Heisman, but let's just give credit where a little bit of credit's due. Matt Johnson from Bowling Green has thrown for 1,760 yards this season. We're not even in week 5 yet. And the man's probably, do the math, 17 divided by 4, okay, 1, he's probably going to throw for 2,000 yards. Granted, they throw the ball a lot, whatever. But give him credit where credit's due. He might not be the best in the country or ever going to win a Heisman because, who the hell's going to win a Heisman with 3-4 losses on their schedule? But the kid's not afraid to throw the ball, and he's good at it. So that's your Heisman watch. Let's get into week 5. All right, let's get into week 5, upcoming week. Got some big games coming up. Um, Starting off Thursday, Miami, Cincy. Miami's 4-0. Got a lot of Hurricane friends. I'm not going to give them too much credit. They're 4-0. They should beat Cincy. That's the end of that. South Carolina, Missouri. Now, I lived in Columbia for 6 years or so. You got to take Missouri in this. The way South Carolina's looking, once again, you can't be good all the time. South Carolina, they got real big on those 10-win seasons when the rest of the SEC East was. Florida wasn't winning. Georgia was good, but they weren't that good. Missouri was pretty good. Kentucky was garbage. Vandy, whatever. That's fine. You guys harp on your 10-win seasons. I know it sucks, but eventually you got to face reality. Missouri should win this game. I don't know what else to tell you. South Carolina's rebuilding. They've got a real tough road ahead of them. They played Nick Chubb. They already played Nick Chubb. They still got Leonard Fournette this year. So the way that defense looked, I think Chubb rushed for like 150 plus. You think Fournette ain't gonna do it? He's liable to put 200 on you, quick, and about three touchdowns. Okay. So I gotta take Missouri. As much as I hate to do it, and my people in South Carolina are probably gonna kill me, gotta take USC over, or gotta take Missouri over USC this weekend. West Virginia, Oklahoma. Now, once again, being a Virginia Tech fan, I'm only gonna give West Virginia about this much credit because if anybody knows rivalries, that Black Diamond Trophy that we haven't played for in a long time. The last time that I even saw the game, I think it was 2004. When we played them, there were batteries being thrown around the stadium at other fans. And I'm not talking about Hokie on Hokie violence or Mountaineer on Mountaineer violence. It was blue and yellow and orange and maroon getting ready to kill each other. So, West Virginia, I'm going to give you about this much credit. And I think Oklahoma's too big. I think Oklahoma's too fast. I don't think West Virginia is going to be able to do it. Got to take Oklahoma. Sorry. TCU, Texas. Now, Texas has had some pretty close losses. Okay, they dropped one to Cal. It wasn't by much. And they just dropped one last weekend. Okay. Now, despite bad officialing, because the Virginia Tech ECU game had a couple of them. I know Texas had a couple of them. You can't. I always hate seeing it. It's hard to blame a game on an official because if you look back to the whole thing, there's a lot of things that you could have done differently. Different play calls, a first down here, a first down there, a field goal here, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. You can't blame an official for an entire game. You can't. You got to look at yourself. As far as Texas goes, they're in trouble. And it ain't going to get any easier with TCU. Anybody in their right mother is probably going to take TCU in this game. I'm going to take TCU in this game. I don't think Texas has got what it takes. I think Boynton's too good of a player. I think he manages an offense that's really good. And I think Texas is liable to get stomped. And the coach, I'm surprised, can even sit down because that seat has to be so hot in Austin that I bet he stands all day because it's too hot to sit down. So TCU over Texas this weekend, which anybody would take. It's not a shocker. Iowa, Wisconsin. Okay, Iowa is undefeated. I think anybody's paying attention. They're not blowing people out of the water, but apparently they're winning ball games. So I'm taking Wisconsin, not by a whole lot. Okay, this is going to be a lot closer. I think it's going to be a close game. Iowa's got something to prove, and Wisconsin's just trying to make it back to the Big Ten championship. Okay, Iowa's undefeated. Taking Wisconsin, not by. It's not going to be a blowout. Wisconsin over Iowa. Baylor, Texas Tech. Now, if you're a gambling man, if this spread, or not spread, but if the over-under is anything, say 65, you better take the over in that. Because these two teams can score points like it's going out of style. I'm not real sure if either one of them even have a defensive coach a coordinator anywhere near the field. But both of them are going to throw the ball probably 400 plus yards and 3 plus touchdowns on both sides. They're probably going to put up 40 to 60 points apiece. So an over-under of 65 or 70, you better jump on the over. I'm going to take Baylor just because I think they're the better team. I think that all around, I think Texas Tech lacks the defense, and I think Baylor might have a little bit of a coach. Maybe. They might have a fan calling in some defensive plays. Nevertheless, Baylor over Texas Tech. Big game in the SEC. Bama, Georgia. Chubb, Tide. It's in Athens. Between the hedges, I don't know. I gotta take Alabama. I don't think it's tough for Nick Saban to drop 2 in a row, and I really don't. I don't even remember the last time Alabama dropped 2 in a row. It's been a while. Believe Nick Saban has his boys ready to go for this one. I would say it's a hostile environment, but every stadium in the SEC, especially in the West, is hostile. So going to Athens, it's just another hostile. It's just another stadium to those guys. I mean, it's not, it is what it is. But I'm taking Bama. It should be interesting. Nick Chubb's really going to have to show what he's made of against the Bama defense. I know Ole Miss rolled on him, but I'm going to take Bama. I think they got it. Ole Miss, Florida. Well, we're going to find out how good Florida is. This isn't Tennessee. This ain't Kentucky. This is Ole Miss. And them boys, trust me, they're coming ready to play. Not a great showing against Vanderbilt last week. I think Ole Miss I think they were pulling the throttle back a little bit. I think they wanted to make sure them boys were ready to go against Florida. Now, don't get me wrong. Florida's going to be pumped. They're going to be ready. The defense is going to be stout, as always. Got to take Ole Miss in this one. Ole Miss can go and beat Alabama. 2 years. Those years. Which I have not seen a team beat Nick Saban 2 years in a row. Ever. I can't ever. Maybe maybe in his Dolphin days. But as far as him being in Alabama, I can't remember. I'm not the brightest guy in the planet, but it is what it is. Next, Mississippi State A&M. I know Mississippi State just beat Auburn. They're not even in the top 25. They're still a good team. Don't be surprised if Mississippi State beats Texas A&M this weekend. I'm going to take A&M just because they like to score a lot of points. And I don't think that Mississippi State's defense is going to be able to contain them for that long. So A&M. Big ACC clash. Clemson, Notre Dame. I'm taking Clemson. I think Deshaun Watson, I think he's ready for this. I think Dabo is ready for this. Clemson usually likes to drop a big game in a regular season. Usually it's against Florida State. I remember back with Jameson's freshman year. It was a huge game. Clemson, Florida State, these big powerhouses. Florida State embarrassed them. And if I'm not mistaken, they beat them last year too. Clemson, Dabo Swinney usually has these boys ready to go for big games. Maybe not so much against Florida State, but if anybody looks back, Clemson usually wins their bowl games against the big SEC schools. Or Oklahoma or whatever. I mean, Dabo will have these boys ready. Clemson is going to beat Notre Dame. It's going to happen. Their defense, that freshman quarterback, I don't think he's really seen a good defense since he's been in, and he's going to be in for a shell shock. Clemson over Notre Dame this weekend. And last but not least, Arizona, Stanford. Arizona coming off that loss last week. I think Stanford getting beat in the opening week, I think kind of set the tone for them as far as the season goes. So I'm going to take Stanford over Arizona. I know I picked Stanford actually to win the Pac-12 at the beginning of the year. And after week 1, I went, oh my God, what a terrible decision. Well, maybe not now. Granted, they've dropped 1, but they are back in the top 25. And a win over Arizona, the boys are going to be on the right page. Okay, they've already beat USC. They've got some tough games. Everybody in the Pac-12 does, seeing how they're the second best conference in the country. That is what it is. As far as problems talking football, that's all I got for you guys. Week 5's coming up. It's hard to believe that we're almost already halfway through the season. Not yet, but we're close. Everybody have a great weekend. Be safe, and I'll see you back here next week. Be easy.